What's up, sugar junkies? Coming off of day one of recovery. So yesterday was my first full day of no carbs, or eliminating most of my carbs anyway. It was pretty rough, I'm not going to lie. For me, the easy part is throughout the day, but it's always after 8 o'clock once my kids are in bed, when my day is sort of over, where I get this feeling where I need to reward myself for my full day's work, I guess. And it usually ends up being a really bad scene. Like a typical night when I am in full-blown addiction mode, a typical night for me would be ordering a pizza, eating an entire pizza, medium large. I could do it, no problem. And maybe even having more after that, something sweet, maybe a bag of cookies, a couple of bags of M&Ms, you name it, I could go for it. If it's bad for me, I will seek it out. Now, last night was good. I was mentally preparing myself for a while, and I had a few failed nights where I couldn't get myself together, where I thought I was going to be okay, but I broke down. But you know what they say, don't quit quitting. And last night was a good night. So I had my dinner. It was a nice, healthy dinner. It was chicken and rice with some vegetables. My wife is a great cook, and I'm a pretty lucky guy there. And that was it. And I staved off the cravings and the hunger. And even though I'll tell you this, it's not that I'm ever really hungry that I do this kind of thing. It's something in my brain, in the back of my brain, is telling me, like, get out there, get some carbs in your system, destroy yourself. Like, I don't eat to be full. I eat to, it feels like I'm almost hurting myself. It's terrible. I don't know what psychologically is going on there. It's probably worth exploring, and I have to some extent. But, last night was a good night. It's my first night, and you take it one day at a time. And like I've said, if you can string 3 or 4 weeks together, then things tend to get much easier after that. The cravings for carbs will never fully go away, but if I can get past that 3 or 4 week mark, and I think it's similar for a lot of people, after that, it just becomes much simpler. You sort of get into a routine. Your body stops telling you to seek them out, and it gets a little bit easier. You have to be always vigilant after that point. But if you can get there, it does, your life gets a little bit more livable when it comes to carb intake and sugar cravings and that kind of thing. So I had a great night. I forced myself to go to bed at a reasonable time. I don't know how you are, but I am definitely a night hawk. I've been that way since I was a kid. If I could stay up late, I'll do it. I'm a bit of a gamer. I've always been like that, where I would, have a little gaming session, look up, and it's 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, especially on weekends. And I'm trying to, one thing that I've done and I will recommend for you is pick a reasonable bedtime and stick to it, whether it's the weekend or weekday or whatever. For me, my time is midnight. I don't have to get up very early in the mornings for my job, so that gives me a solid 7 to 8 hours every day. That's a big one. We're going to go over some of that stuff in a bit. Now, what do we do to get ourselves in the right mindset for cutting off this supply chain of carbs and forcing our brains to kind of settle down and sever this link? So there's a bunch of things that I think work really well for me. So I'm going to let you know, and you can see if they work well for you. But you have to get yourself into the right mindset, mentally, physically, everything, in order to kind of fight this battle. This is going to be a lifelong battle, and has been a lifelong battle for me. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some, but you're going to win more if you make your environment, your house, the people around you, everything around you, make it so that it's, your house and the people around you are on your side and not your enemy. You don't want a house full of junk and carbs. That's the first step. Let me see if I can put this a simpler way. You're fighting a battle, and it's a battle for your health, for your future, for your life, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to over dramatize it, but you are fighting a big battle, probably the toughest battle in your life, or you wouldn't be even watching something like this if that wasn't the case. So you want to have as many allies in that battle as possible. You want the people that you love and the people around you to be allies. You want your home environment to be an ally. You don't want your house, your living situation, working against you. You don't want your body working against you any more than it already does. So there's a bunch of things you can do here. Number one, get the carbs out of your house. If you have junk sitting around in your house, if you're anything like I am, you will at some point throughout the day or night go on a seek and destroy mission and make sure that that junk food is inside your belly, inside your body, and not outside of it. So, I would immediately just get rid of that stuff. That would be number one on the list. You don't want that stuff sitting around. If it's not there, you're going to have to go out of your way to get it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I'm not a person who doesn't make a late night trip out to a fast food joint or to the grocery store or to a variety store or whatever to get carbs or get junk. I do, but you're going to have to work hard to get it. You don't want to make it easier to fail. Number two, the people around you, who if you live alone, fine. If you don't live alone, whoever you live with needs to be made aware. Like you've come to the realization that you are addicted to sugar. Now, this is a tough one because I've had people in my life, like my mom, my parents, I told them years ago that I was addicted to carbs and that I couldn't really eat that stuff. But you're always going to get relatives that are like, oh, I baked this pie for you. Just have one slice. What's the matter? You don't like my cooking? You've probably heard this kind of thing. It's like they're sort of enabling you. They don't mean to. They don't understand that you have an addiction because a lot of the time this, sugar and carb addiction is not looked at as an addiction. So it's hard for people who don't have it to wrap their mind around it. They're of the mindset, well, if you just have one little sliver of pie or one cookie, you'll be fine. Just be moderate and then put the cookie down. But we are not people, my friends, that can put the cookie down. I'm certainly not. I don't think you are if you're watching this. So you got to get through to your family and say, listen, I love you. I love your cooking. I love you guys, but I can't eat this stuff. And please, please don't, don't put me in any situations that I don't need to be in. I'm lucky I have a very understanding wife and she doesn't eat that stuff around me. So, she makes it a lot easier for me. All my damage that I've done, I can't blame anyone else. It's all on me. I'm the one who puts the food in my mouth, right? But I have to say that I have a pretty supportive family when it comes to this stuff. But, it takes a while to get there. You got to make sure that these people understand. And I know that this type of addiction can make you feel ashamed, but you've got nothing to be ashamed of. It's a very difficult thing to deal with. And the people who really love you and care about you in your life are not going to be, they're not going to judge you for this. They're going to want to help you. Try to surround yourself with people who are like that. Okay, next. Things that I do to kind of set myself up for success. Aside from, cleaning out the house, make sure there's nothing. You're going to want to get a good night's sleep, set your hours, pick a time and stick to it. You're going to want to drink lots of water. You want water in your system. Anytime you're drinking water, you're not drinking other garbage. You're not drinking pop. I'm not a big pop guy. Bit of a caffeine guy. Caffeine is actually okay as long as you're not guzzling down sugar with it. Caffeine will actually help and it does curb your appetite a little bit. So, in my opinion, I don't think there's any problem with it. Consult your doctor. Another thing that works great for me is, and this also involves just putting myself in a position to win, is to take my measurements. So, you take your measurements. I already told you what I was starting at there. Write them down, record them, put them in your phone, whatever, and set yourself a clear goal of where you want to get to. This is just a nice motivator. It kind of helps get you in the right mindset and you've got something to aim for. You don't have to do this, but I find it to be really, really helpful. There are apps you can download. I use one called Monitor My Weight. I think it was free. I've had it on my phone for a year. You can find whatever, but it just graphs out your progress, which is actually quite nice. It's just a visual representation. When you look and you see, hey, I lost 12 pounds in the last few weeks, and you can be really proud of yourself. It makes you feel good, something to look at. You just want to, remember, you want to do everything you can to win. And this is just another small step to get you there. I do something else. I have an erasable whiteboard calendar. It's 4 months. And when I start, I will record my weight and my measurement on the first day that I start, circle it, and then mark off the days where I didn't eat bad. And then I can see a nice chain of days where I've been good. And slowly it gets bigger and bigger and better, and it just helps to build your momentum. And I just like to have something like that. Again, not a necessity, but it's just another small thing I like to do to motivate myself. So, these are I guess that's most of the major stuff. If you can do these things, you're going to be on your way. I'm not going to get into the intricacies of diet just yet. You can do a little homework on that. The only major steps here are A, don't eat after 6 or 7 o'clock, depending when you go to bed. Give yourself a nice long stretch of space before you sleep. You don't want your body trying to break down food while you're sleeping. It's going to make your sleep worse, and you're going to put on more weight if you eat close to bedtime. It's just, it's the way it goes. Your metabolism slows down, and you want to have, like, late night is just, for me at least, where all the damage is done. Have a good meal and then call it a night. No matter how hungry you get, fight it for those 3 or 4 weeks, and it will get easier. It's never going to be perfect, but you just need to make that a habit. If nothing else, it can be one of the most important habits that you adopt. Secondly, what does your diet consist of? No breads, no sugar, no chips, no baked goods, nothing flour. I stay away from potatoes. Rice is a carb source. It depends. Again, I don't really like rice that much, so I can eat some of it. I don't hate it, but I can have a little rice and it doesn't really set me off personally. Other people, it will set off. So, you're going to have to kind of tailor this to how you react. A lot of it just involves trial and error. But you avoid the carbs if you think they're going to bother you. I just kind of avoid all carbs. The only carb source that I have is maybe nuts. There's a little bit of carbs in nuts. There's also a lot of protein and fiber. They don't seem to trigger me, and it's a nice filling snack. Like, they fill me up. Nuts. What else is in my diet? I eat a lot of meat, cheese, fruit, and vegetables. And really, that's about it. I tend to survive off that. And again, the longer you go, there's interesting ways to enjoy that and different ways to eat it. And, you can explore, find recipes that you like, find meals that you like. There's a lot out there, and there's no better time than now because, there's a lot of people with similar issues, and the weight loss industry has been around for a long, long time. So there's a lot of foods tailored to low and no carb. And I'll let you figure that out. I think that's about it. I think we're going to go there. I'm going to give you updates. I'm going to see if I can go a couple of days here, and I'll let you know how my days go. And I think we're going to talk about some of our carb addiction stories next. I would love to hear yours. If you want to leave a like and a subscribe and a nice comment, that would be great. I'd love to hear some of your stories of addiction and how you're battling it, your successes, your failures. I want to meet more people like me and hopefully help people like me who are in the same position. Hopefully this helped a little bit, and we will talk again in a few days. Till next time, Sugar Junkies.